Hi, my name's Rebecca Teague. I graduated in 2020 from the Forensic Investigation course at Staffs Uni. I've previously worked as a Special Constable for Staffordshire Police, and I now work at SciTech as a digital forensic technician, working with mobile phones and tablets. Here are my top tips on applying for a job within police and forensics. When I was looking, I used LinkedIn, as organisations use this as well as their own websites to advertise for positions. In addition, I set up email alerts with various police forces to inform me whenever a new job was posted. This helped me keep up to date with new opportunities in my local area, as it's always important to get in there as soon as possible. A good page to follow on LinkedIn is The Investigator, as a lot of police forces and private forensic companies use this to reach a wider audience when advertising their roles. It's also good practice to create professional social media accounts. Personally, I chose to make one on Twitter and only follow police forces and those that work within the forensics field, as these people often post interesting articles and it allows me to interact with professionals already working in jobs that I one day aspire to be. The first hurdle, once you've found a job that you're interested in, is completing the application form. Police application forms can be very daunting and rather lengthy. However, they set you up well for interviews, as police forces often ask for applicants to describe their past experiences. These are commonly referred to as competency-based questions, and an example of this type of question could be something such as, tell us about a time when you demonstrated excellent communication skills when working as part of a team. In order to answer these types of questions, I use the STAR model, which stands for Situation, Task, Action, and Result. Using this allows you to work through your answer clearly and methodically. It is important to note that you do not need prior experience in a policing environment when completing these types of applications, as we all have many transferable skills from part-time jobs and group work during university. More information around competency-based questions and the STAR method can be easily found online. It is also important to read through the job description, as this is usually a detailed document for jobs within police forces and can often tell you the specific competencies desired for the role, helping you better prep for more specific questions. Keywords can also be pulled from the job description and used in your answers to show that you understand the requirements of the job and understand what is important to the force and more specifically that job role. For example, Staffordshire Police break up their job descriptions very well, with one page often dedicated to education, qualifications and experiences, as well as the behaviour they expect from the applicant to be successful in the role. Once successful with an application, the next stage will be an interview. In total, I've been to 3 interviews for forensic roles within police forces. All of these have had the same format of competency-based questions, the only difference being that they're asked directly to you and you have to answer on the spot, meaning you cannot fully prepare answers like you can with an application form. However, you can still do prep such as reading up about the force or company, especially any recent work they may have been posting about on their social medias, as this shows that you're engaged and are interested in working for them. It's also important to implement the STAR model into interviews and have a look online at common competency-based questions, as there are a lot of free resources on YouTube and other websites. It's also very important not to use slang during interviews and make sure you dress smartly, especially as police forces are very traditional and take pride in wearing their uniforms. Another top tip from me would be to reach out to those currently working in the role you're applying for or similar roles within the company. I did this before my interview at SciTech and it allowed me to get a better understanding of the day-to-day activities of the role, making sure that it was something that I actually did want to go into. It also shows confidence and allows the people currently working there to have a good first impression of you and become familiar with your name. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the main differences between the police and the private sector. For me, I found that the main difference was the application process, as when I was looking for my position with SciTech, I didn't have to submit a formal application form. Instead, I had to submit my CV and a cover letter to their recruitment email, which they then have a look at and see if they've got any roles that may be suitable for you with your current level of experience. If they like you, they'll set up an interview, whereas the application forms for the police can have multiple stages of questions, which you have to succeed in before getting through to the interview stage. The interview with my current employer was a lot less formal. However, this is due to the company culture and would not necessarily be the same for every private company, and the traditional competency-based questions were not as dominant. Instead, they asked me questions about my CV and asked me to explain my previous experience, specifically talking about the option modules I studied in my final year at uni. In addition, some private companies will ask you to complete a short written test to understand the level of knowledge you have in a subject area, as these jobs are often quite technical and specific. This helps them to evaluate at which level you can start with them if you are successful. My latest experience of an interview for a forensic position within a police force was over 2 parts, which was pretty intense, as I had a role-play assessment that lasted around 30 minutes and then a 40-minute interview straight after. However, this was a good experience overall, as it helped me build my confidence and pushed me out of my normal comfort zone. It also helped me better understand specific questions I may be asked in the future for similar roles. So, what's it like working with the police? From my previous experience working as a Special Constable with Staffordshire Police and now working as part of the team at SciTech, I have first-hand knowledge of what it is like to work with police officers and police staff, as well as other emergency service workers. I would highly recommend joining the Special Constabulary, as it gave me the opportunity to gain invaluable communication skills, as well as working as part of a close team. It also helped me make the decision to join the forensic side of the industry, as I was previously unsure if I wanted to be a PC full-time or not. Therefore, I think this is a good move for anyone who is undecided if it's the right role for them or not, as it is a really good exposure to the industry. Working with the police can be very high pressure though, especially when out in uniform in police cars and dealing with difficult situations that I would otherwise not really be exposed to. This has helped me gain a better understanding of the role of police in general and has been beneficial when working within digital forensics in dealing with seized exhibits daily, as I was once the person who seized the exhibits from the crime scene. Firstly, have a professional social media presence, especially on LinkedIn. Reach out to professionals already working in positions you aspire to one day work in to help gain insight on the day-to-day working of the roles. Keep up to date with current news in your field of interest, as this knowledge could be used to answer questions such as, why are you interested in this role? You also need to research the company before answering questions and even try to memorise some facts you found interesting about them, whether this be a recent case they helped solve or some new technology that they're using. It's also important to use the STAR model when answering competency-based questions in application forms and also in interviews. It's also important to use the job description to educate yourself on the role in depth and influence your answers, pulling out keywords, especially with police force applications and interviews, as the job description often are very detailed. It's also handy to use flashcards to help you remember specific past experiences that you could use for multiple different competencies, such as communication and teamwork. It's also a good idea to ask family and friends to help you prepare for interviews by doing mock interviews, which I know can be a little bit difficult sometimes, but it's always worth giving it a try, just to get you used to answering questions on the spot. And lastly, just make sure to dress smart for your interviews and never use slang. I hope that these have helped, and good luck to everyone currently applying for jobs.